All right, let's watch this. This is a new video about Narc. It's about Ashes of Creation. Here we go. So obviously they've got a few teasers for the end of the year live stream, and we're going to take a look at this right now, okay? Here we go.
Hey, what up, boys? So it's that time of the month again where I clickbait you all out the wazoo with an arbitrary video about literal thin air. Huh? What do you mean every single one of my videos are exactly this? Actually, the video where I break down the live stream is the only video where I have content, so that's technically incorrect. This month, we're in for a bit of a surprise because it seems we're actually in for a bit of a chill stream due to the teasers and hints given to us in Discord, of which I will be relaying to you today. But before we get into that, our patrons and I would love for you to grab yourself a Coca-Cola, because it seems we've been robbed of our end-of-year mind-blowing stream, and that's okay. I'm not sad or angry or upset or worried or anxious or concerned or distressed or losing faith for the project. It's okay for us to have a chill stream every so often, and
I think that things that survive off a hype like this are always like... The reason why hype can be bad for games is because sometimes people's expectations become greater than what the game ever could be. I think that's what the issue is. Is that, like, people expect every single monthly update to be as breathtaking as the seasons update or the gathering update or the combat update with the archer. Like, not every single one is going to be like that. That's just the truth. You're not going to knock it out of the park every single time. That's not the way that game development or anything, development for anything goes. It's up and down, right?
during Christmas seems like the perfect time, right?
Yeah.
So let's discuss this today in less than 10 minutes. Editing Narc here. It seems I failed again. I just can't seem to keep these videos less than 10 minutes. My thin air just...
What is going on behind him? Like, I mean, really, like, what is this? Hold up, yeah, what is... Oh my god.
Appears to be too content dense. Sorry about that. Now, with all that bollocks out of the way,
he's a weed.
Let us begin. Shall we?
Oh my god. So maybe he's like, he's thinking that, you know what, maybe this whole Ashes of Creation thing, the ceiling on this thing is just way too low. I think we've really got to expand our horizons. And so now he's like testing the waters to see if he can farm weebs. He's like, okay, you know what? Let's see how far we can get this.
so right out the gate, let's just go straight...
Yeah, it's because, like, I mean, really, there's a new Weeb game that comes out, like, every week. Ashes of Creation won't be out for 7 more years. So, I mean, he's got to have something to do in the meantime.
out there and reveal all the Discord messages at once, so you can be overwhelmed with disappointment, post a comment about how the game's never releasing, and then go back to huffing the copium and preaching your MMO will finally be fixed in the next patch. Don't worry guys, they're finally listening this time, I swear. Okay, now everyone got that out of their system, let's discuss this upcoming stream and see if we can set some expectations going into it. As per the teaser this month, they told us we will be having a discussion with the devs and meeting a few of the team over at Intrepid. This sparked interest for the highly anticipated studio tour. However, they further confirmed on Discord that this is not going to be the studio tour. It is merely a glimpse at the studio in the background whilst we talk to these devs. This did continue much discussion and excitement for certain dates and announcements to be revealed. However, they further clarified that they don't have any plans for major announcements this month. As much as we're excited for it, the Alpha 2 date is...
I hope that, I hope that Ashes of Creation doesn't end up... It doesn't end up falling into the trap of people that are so excited about it that they create fan fiction for the outcome of the game that it could never live up to. I feel like the only time that a game just got absolutely hyped out of this fucking world and it lived up to the hype was Elden Ring. Like, that was the only time that's, like, ever happened.
Likely not coming, which is indeed disappointing. I agree, Christmas would have been the perfect time to announce
Yeah.
it, but as they've said in the past, to avoid the delay situation they had last time with Alpha 1, they will not be giving us a date until it is 100% ready, and
That's
that
smart.
is the correct thing to do.
Yeah.
If you want further information on dates and a timeline for this MMO's future development, I highly recommend you watch the last video, as it not only has a banger of an intro, but it also highlights a lot of important information about this open development Intrepid are focused on. Ideally, this end-of-year livestream would be
I do think that they should be pretty measured with how much they let people play the game, because it will kind of hurt the hype of the game if people are playing it out in the alpha and in the beta so much that the actual release of the game isn't very impactful at all, because people have been functionally playing it for like 8 or 10 months or a year at that time.
rivaling last year's insane Unreal Engine 5 reveal.
Yeah,
that was
a
such
big
a
one.
monumentous change for the game that completely shook up the genre. Sadly, I'm not sure anything can really rival it though. Well, except
It's like a good example is like Classic WoW did a really good job at this, because they only let you play the game until level 30 or like 40 for a while. And then after that, they took it down and they're like, okay, you can't play the beta anymore. You've got to wait for the real game. That was a good idea.
maybe some awesome dungeon gameplay with a world boss, or maybe the ocean content reveal, or maybe the nodes free video, even a freehold and housing reveal. Oh, the crafting showcase would have been pretty poggers, or maybe the much anticipated PvP caravan gameplay, or I don't know, literally anything but a random talk with some devs and zero gameplay. So then, what on earth can we expect? Isn't this a massive disappointment for the supposed end of year banger that I've been going on about? Well, yes, I agree. It is indeed not quite what we expected, but as your copium dealer, it is my duty to give you some silver lining for what we can be excited for, because I
think that, like, if you want to look at it in a positive way, you can say this. Basically, it's more important for them to develop the game in an organic way and not just try to overdevelop certain parts of the game so they can release it for the community for hype. Like, that's kind of a good thing that they're focusing on actually developing the game in a way that is foundational, that can grow, rather than trying to create some like weird demo that can get people excited for it.
sneaky suspicion it's going to mimic the hype we received from another recent livestream that also had zero gameplay. So let's discuss that next. 2022 has been absolutely incredible for this game's development, and almost every single stream this year has revealed some major new system that's finally in a presentable state, or a major step in development involving mechanics or design. However, dotted throughout the year were 2 or 3 slightly less hype live streams that did shake the faith a little. January, we got mostly just some race reveals that weren't too...
I don't think that you can realistically expect every single release to be super hype. It's just not realistic to do that.
Special and zero gameplay. February, we got a whole live stream discussing fucking mounts, which wasn't too bad considering the content, as it was basically a deep dive into the animal husbandry system, a system a lot of people are actually excited about. March, though, was when it started to ramp up a little with a first look at their character creator. However, this again...
Yeah, I think the character creator was probably one of the most interesting ones, and probably one of the best ones, because the way that they were talking about the character creator and how it looked and like what the customization options were, it was absolutely amazing. Like, the character creator, even at the like pre-alpha level, seems like it's going to have a better foundation than pretty much any other MMO. Like, I can't see this being worse than Lost Ark. The only game that it might be worse than is Black Desert Online. Like, that's it. And even then, this game has a completely different style, so it's hard to compare, like, which one is better.
again isn't exactly gameplay,
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
April was probably the worst stream of the year, revealing their event system with zero gameplay again, which evidently ended up being some foreshadowing for Intrepid to pull out their big guns. From May all the way to last livestream, we received banger after banger with incredible gameplay showcases of various systems and mechanics that are going to dominate the testing process in Alpha 2. Every single month was jam-packed with actual gameplay showing off the game and progress, all except one. August was, in my opinion, by far one of the best, most information-packed live streams Ashes of Creation has ever done. And that's for more reasons than me just being able to monetize
Yeah, that's the one where they announced they were making the map way bigger and everything like that.
Bunch of drama videos, I swear guys. It revealed a shed load of new information about the direction of the game, revealed some new information about how certain PvP zones will function with a node ruins area and the ocean. They went into details on how the node manager works and the way the caravans function on a systems level, all whilst revealing a brand new world map and tripling the original size of the world as a whole to accommodate these new systems into a practical scenario. It's not scope creep. God damn it, it's not. I was extremely pleased with what they revealed in August, and
I don't think every reveal has to be gameplay. And I think the truth is, like, some of the gameplay, the problem is that the moment that you show gameplay, if the gameplay is not S tier, people's excitement for the game goes to zero. Even if it's not ready, even if you say it's alpha, even if it says not prepared, even if it says this is not indicative of the final product, if people see gameplay and the gameplay doesn't look good, then they're going to think the game sucks. That's all there is to it, because people that's how people develop impressions of video games. Like, whether you think it's wrong or not, it's not going to change. That's just the facts.
all this came with absolutely zero gameplay to back it up. Not a single complaint was filed that month. And trust me, as the gatekeeper of this game, I'd know. And I'm confident our little chat with the devs this month will give us the same kind of vibes as that one. I think this month's livestream is going to be an absolute information overload about the game's systems, progress, and direction, discussing in depth about certain parts of the game with the very devs that are designing them. But
I think the systems are important to talk about, but what's more important to talking about the systems is getting players' hands on them and actually seeing how they evolve with people interacting with the systems in real time. I think that's really what the issue is. Like, that has to happen.
We'll conclude today's video not by hyping up this particular aspect with literal thin air. I'm going to talk about what I personally hope we get discussions on, because they are the systems I'm most personally excited about. First of all, the goddamn oceans are one of the most exciting parts of this game for me. Not only is the ocean practical for many reasons like PvP, trading, and travel, but I am a massive One Piece fanboy, and ever since I first experienced an ocean in an MMORPG like Black Desert Online, I've been searching for a game to really play that pirate fantasy. Sea of Thieves is obviously the best one out there right now. However, it's not set in a massively multiplayer world with progression and exploration like an MMO offers. When I did my playthrough of Arcade earlier this year, the ocean content, boat progression, and sea mechanics absolutely blew my mind for what's possible in an MMO.
This is
and
so cool.
Arcade is absolutely the gold standard for ocean content.
And like, look at that. That's the gold standard. Bro, that's the brown standard. This is awful. Look at the gameplay. It's fucking garbage. So it's not that hard for them to be able to improve on this.
Experiencing their oceans that made me so excited for Ashes of Creation, because I genuinely think if they can capture the same feeling as Arcade did with the scale, the PvP, and the PvE mechanics, I think I will probably end up spending most of my time trading on the open seas, and I'm very content with this as a main gameplay loop. But enough fanboying about that. I personally think this is a tall order and would rather have actual gameplay to accommodate validate the information about this, so instead, I think an in-depth discussion about the class and combat design would be a very well-received one, going in-depth about the weapon progression, the actual weapons themselves, because we still don't have a full list of them, class progression, and how the augment system will work will unfog a lot of confusing parts about Intrepid's design.
I think for me, the weapon system doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is seeing how everything fits together. Because, like, if there's a weapon system, like, how do the bosses work? Do the bosses have immunities to certain types of weapons or certain types of spells? Are you able to, like, is it like Dark Souls, for example, where certain NPCs are more vulnerable or resistant to different types of, like, magic effects or physical? Or is it something like in New World, for example, where you have things that are more vulnerable but nothing that's less vulnerable anymore? Like, for example, in Expeditions. Or is it something like Classic WoW, where if you cast Fireball on Ragnaros, he doesn't take any damage. But if you do that on Ragnaros and Firelands, he takes full damage. So, like, what's the line here that we're drawing, and how does it fit together? How do you upgrade these items? Is it something that you can realistically have 5 of the same thing of, that you can kind of progress linearly at the same time? And, like, these are the things that are important. And it's not just the weapon system, it's knowing how all of the systems fit together. And I think that's what's so hard about making an MMO. And it's what's so hard about making something like WoW, too. I mean, like, well, WoW is an MMO, but, like, it's been a challenge with Blizzard. Is like, how do you fit a game that has Mythic Plus, solo play, raids, arenas, battlegrounds, and just, like, casual play in general? How do you put all of those things together and have a cohesive game that fits all 6 of those play styles? It's, like, impossible. So that's what really matters, is just, like, getting these systems out there and seeing how players interact with them.
We still don't know how their supposed
where, like, the choke
64
points
class
are.
dream will actually work, and I'm very skeptical about its conclusion. Finally, I think following that up with an economy-based design discussion would also be a very highly received one. It's no secret that a sandbox MMO functions slightly different to your average theme park, and in a sandbox, your power tends to come from how much money you have, and having a lot of diverse ways to make money through various fun and interesting systems, like, is the key to making sandbox games so much fun, especially MMORPGs. We haven't even begun to talk about spot test mentions, teasers for what's to come in the next few months, and of course, the mandatory reflection on 2022 meme that will undoubtedly take up a large portion of the live stream and put everyone to sleep because I've already covered it 5 times over. Which leads me on to my question for you, my dear viewer. What kind of systems and mechanics do you want to hear about in this live stream?
I want to hear about the end game progression systems. I hit 60, I hit 100, I hit 50, I hit 80, whatever the max level is. Now what? What do I do to get better gear? How long can I keep getting better gear? Why don't I just go to the very end of that progression loop at the very end of it, as soon as I start, and just get the best gear? Why do I have to go step by step? It's like, because if it's an outdoor content, like, why am I not able to bring 150 people to kill something that's designed for 40? Do you see kind of what I'm saying? Because, like, you've got to assume that there's probably going to be a point where the scaling for bosses, the amount of people that exist in the area, will outscale the boss's difficulty. So how do you have outdoor dungeons and a progression cycle without creating things that are just really gimmicky? Like, for example, in Valheim, like, if you go up to the mountain, you can't go to the mountain unless you make the special cloak that gives you frost resistance, for example. And these types of things are kind of gimmicks. So are we going to have something, and like Brimstone Sands is the same thing with New World, is that you can't go to Brimstone Sands unless you drink the tincture, and you can't zone into BWL unless you get attuned, or same with Naxxramas or something like that. So how does this work? Like, what is the progression system? Like, what kind of gear can you get? How much better is the gear at an end-game player? Like, let's say I play the game 15 hours a day, I'm in the best guild in the game, and I go up against 3 people that just, are casual players at max level. Can I win? Will I win every time? Will they ever win? How many of them could I kill at the same time theoretically? Like, what is the scope of power difference? You see, like, all of these questions are what really matters, in my opinion, because those questions determine how the game is going to retain players.
These will obviously be curated, pre-planned discussions that are decided before the stream, and they have explicitly stated that they're skipping the Q&A this month for reasons I'm not too sure about. Possibly because they expect the live stream to run overtime, or maybe Intrepid are taking it easy to cap.
I mean, I think they've talked about everything that they can talk about. They need to introduce new things. Like, people are just going to keep asking about the same stuff. That's fine. MMOs are too complicated in their purest form. I don't think they're that complicated. Like, for example, when you kill somebody, can you ever get their gear? Let me think of some more of them. Are there sea bosses? Like, for example, if can you build like a giant ship and go out and kill a kraken? And if you can go out and kill the kraken, how hard is the kraken? And then if you bring 5 ships instead of 1 ship, is the kraken 5 times easier? Is it half as easy? Is it harder because it scales up with new mechanics and abilities? What happens if people try to bug out the boss with like different types of like mob tagging functionality? What happens if, like 5 people are fighting a dragon and then the dragon's at 5% health, and then the rest of the guild tags it, and then its health increases because there's more characters on the combat table? Do only those 5 people get it? Do less people get it? Like, you see kind of what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different things, because I'm the kind of person that exploits games. So as soon as the alpha comes up, I will immediately figure out things that you can do that you shouldn't be able to do. Absolutely. And if you don't have that stuff down on lock, it ruins the end game. Because, like, for example, if you're able to just, like for example, in Dragonflight, at the very beginning, you were able to buy all of the PvP gear because you could just use, like, the trophies and then buy the gear and then just sell it immediately on the auction house, because they didn't really plan things out. And there was an oversight. But Blizzard was able to fix this problem, but if they hadn't, it would have just completely killed the end game, because you'd have people in full PvP gear on day one that spent a bunch of money. So it's just so complex and so hard to figure out how to get all these systems to fit together. And also, like, how do you prevent one guild from just not controlling everything on the server? Because, like, this is what happens in New World, is, like, a lot of servers in New World have guilds and shell guilds or shell companies, just like real life, that are controlling all of the territories in the entire game. Because these characters, obviously, like, these guys they're getting so much passive income through controlling the territories, they're able to buy best in slot gear, gear themselves out farther and higher beyond the other players, and then they just have a passive advantage inside of any combat. And so guess what? They play all the time, they have better gear, and they win. Big surprise. So how do you avoid that situation? How do you solve that? Also, you have a massive world. How do you create it to where it's not like, 3 months or 4 months down the line into the release of the game, and certain nodes are being relatively unused because they're not efficient with, like, a resource. They're not efficient with, like, resource acquisition. Like, why do you have people that go to the node for, let's say, like, animal husbandry, if this has just been determined to be an inefficient node? You have to, like, patch that out. And I'm telling you guys, oh my God, there's so much to this. Oh my God. I hope you guys, can you guys see what I'm saying about how, like, infinitely complex this is? Yeah, there's so much content. Yeah, things have been tweaked in alpha and beta. Here's a whole video right there. And by the way, like, this is all the potential things in the game, and I just talked about this much. Keep that in mind. I didn't even talk about PvP, open world PvP, crafting, the mare system, different types of solo play, leveling up, getting different mounts, like the store features, armor, transmog, like weapon abilities, combos, spell immunities. I did talk about that. Yeah, it's just so much.
A year off. But my question remains. I told you what I'm most excited to hear about, but as this is primarily a discussion channel, you guys have the floor this time, and I'm excited to hear what you have to say, which is a perfectly scripted transition for me to say, I am just one nerd desperate for a good MMO, and my opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below.
That's my opinion.
Hey, I just want to add on the end here that it's completely unrealistic to expect every single live stream to be a banger with incredible progress being made every single month. It's important to realize stuff we see in the live streams are probably things that have been ready and waiting for ages and just needed some polish for showcases. So if this live stream isn't blowing our mind, then fear not, because I'm pretty sure 2023 is going to be the year of Ashes of Creation. I mean, at least it's not in the state of Pantheon's pre-alpha, is it? Although comparing it to literal shite probably isn't a compliment.
But Narc, stop smoking the pot. Alpha 2 isn't going to release in 2023. Just look at the shameful state of this game. It's ridiculous. Y'all should be happy if it releases by 2024, and even then, it'll be a pretty barely playable farce. Get a grip and touch some grass, goddamn it. Pantheon is the future, not this cosmetic garbage.
And to that I say, listen, kid. I know you're salty about the pitiful state of Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, but come on, man. Stop projecting. You're embarrassing yourself, and if you were actually pleased with Ko's playthrough of Pantheon's recent showcase, then you gotta be kidding me, because you're high on copium.
You've gotta be kidding me. I don't know why that's so fucking funny. Oh my god, watch the Pantheon dungeon I showed 2 days ago. Yeah, maybe I'll have to look at it some other point. Here's the thing, right, is like, I watched, there is nothing that was promising to be about Pantheon at all. But the reality is that Ashes of Creation isn't really competing against Pantheon. Pantheon is competing against EverQuest and like these other old school MMOs. Like, a lot of the people that are super hyped about Pantheon are not going to be playing Ashes of Creation, probably. It's a completely different type of game. It's like saying, fuck, I'm trying to remember, like, it's like saying Escape from Tarkov is the same thing as Fortnite. Like, these are two completely different games with a completely different audience, even though they're both shooters. You see kind of what I mean? Isn't it? Yeah, I think they're very different games. It's like OSRS versus WoW. Well, it's like, I don't know, like, I'm sure there's other MMOs that I could compare it to. Yeah, Boomer/Zoomer take. Exactly, yeah, Pantheon is a Boomer game. The people that play Pantheon are like 35. Like, there's nobody that goes and plays Pantheon that doesn't get yearly checkups on their prostate. Like, that's just how it is. It's a game for boomers. It's a game for old men. And it's not a problem. Like, it's fine, but that's what it is. The truth is, like, what Ashes of Creation really is competing with is something like New World. They're competing with World of Warcraft. They're competing with Arcade 2 that's coming out. They're competing with Final Fantasy XIV. I think actually less so Final Fantasy XIV, because Final Fantasy has such a unique appeal. I think that really the competitors for Ashes of Creation are, like, I would say, like, Albion Online, probably the Riot MMO just because it'll be really big. World of Warcraft because, again, it's really, really big. Arcade 2, and what was the other one that I mentioned? New World. Yeah, I think those are the games that it's... And BDO. Yeah, that's another one. Those are the games it's really competing against. Not Final Fantasy. Not Pantheon. Not Tower of Fantasy. Not some other fucking bullshit game. Why not Final Fantasy? Because Final Fantasy's appeal is so much different than what Ashes of Creation's appeal is. Like, of course, some people will go and play Ashes of Creation instead of Final Fantasy, but I don't think the overlap is going to be that big. So, like, for example, Ashes of Creation is not a narratively driven game that has a long storyline that's voice acted, that's been developed for 10 years. It doesn't have perfectly choreographed raids and a catalog of them that spans for the past 8 years. It just simply doesn't have those things. It doesn't have, bunny girls. Well, it might, actually. I don't know if Ashes of Creation will have that or not. But, like, you can see how the appeal is way different. Let me link you guys the video again. And make sure to give it a sub, give it a like. We love the Narc videos. They're great. Ashes will be better than WoW and give the neckbeards faith in gaming again. Well, that is true. I think that the neckbeards, and this is what I've said before, is that the neckbeards are not gone. The people that devoted 14 hours a day to grinding in World of Warcraft, to farming in BDO, these people are not gone. They're just waiting. They're waiting for a game that is worthy to them to lose their life over, to waste their life over. They are hibernating. And it doesn't matter if it comes out today. It doesn't matter if it comes out next year, 5 years, 10 years. They can wait forever. Yeah, that's it. It doesn't matter what it's going to be. Should you wrong? No, because the thing is, it's being a neckbeard isn't an age. It's a state of mind. There's plenty of 14-year-olds that are going to be absolute fucking neckbeards whenever one of these games comes out. They're going to play it all the fucking time. Their identity is going to be this game. They're going to fixate on it constantly. But you can't make a game that sucks and then expect people to waste their life on it. People are waiting and excited. People are looking forward to something like Sword Art Online because it's so transformative and so amazing that they can play it constantly and ruin their entire life in the pursuit of being better at it and feel like they're not wasting their time. That's what it is. That's what people want. People, they don't want to have a super casual game. They do in a way. Of course they do. But there are also a lot of people that want something hardcore that they can really invest themselves into and for it to matter. That's what it is. The neckbeards aren't gone. They're just waiting. And you will never get them if your game is not S tier. They just won't play it. They won't stick around. They'll leave. That's it. How do you define wasting time? Sure. Feeling like you're wasting your time. So, if you feel like you're wasting your time playing a game, you are. If you don't feel like you're wasting your time playing a game, you're not. It's that simple. Not getting paid equals wasting time? No, I don't agree with that. Like, for example, painting Warhammer figurines. A lot of people love painting Warhammer figurines. And the worst part about that is they have to pay $80 for probably each one of them. I don't know how much they are, but it's probably that much now. But they get something out of that. Having a hobby that you don't make money from is not a bad thing. That's not an issue. Nothing wrong with that. Become a real good painter, yeah. Getting paid, fuck off, yeah. A lot of people actually don't want to get paid. They don't want to make money with their hobby because they think that pollutes it. That makes it no longer a hobby anymore. Now this is a business endeavor that makes things more complex and complicated. Not everything. To a lot of older people and people that have stable jobs, that have good careers, their entire life is not all about money. They have the money situation for the most part taken care of. Yeah, it would be nice if they had a Lamborghini, but they don't need one. They're eating fine. Things are okay. And their values are in different places. That's the way I see it. With responsibilities, yeah. So I don't think that you're wasting your time. Like, yeah, if you feel like you're wasting your time playing a video game, you are. It's that simple. I never thought about it that way, but I think that, yeah, that's pretty much about it.